The year is insert year. Burkina Faso, a nation striving for self-determination in the heart of Africa, finds itself under the resolute leadership of President Ibrahim Traoré. His tenure, marked by a commitment to national sovereignty and economic independence, has positioned him as a pivotal figure in the continent's evolving political landscape. However, the path to true freedom is rarely smooth, often fraught with unforeseen challenges and clandestine threats. This narrative explores a pivotal moment in Burkina Faso's history, a moment that tested the resilience of its people and the unwavering resolve of their leader. We delve into the shadows that lurked beneath the surface of seemingly stable governance, shadows cast long and dark by forces seeking to undermine the nation's progress. The story unfolds with an air of quiet tension, a sense of impending danger that hangs heavy in the air, even before the first act of violence. President Traoré, returning from a significant diplomatic mission, a journey that held the promise of strengthening international ties and securing crucial resources for his nation, was unaware of the meticulously crafted plot awaiting him. It was a plot designed not only to end his life, but to shatter the burgeoning hope for a truly independent Burkina Faso. This is the story of an assassination attempt, a tale of betrayal, political maneuvering, and the enduring spirit of a nation fighting for its future. The events that followed would reveal a complex web of intrigue, stretching far beyond the borders of Burkina Faso, and ultimately expose the lengths to which some would go to maintain their influence over the African continent. The fate of a nation hung precariously in the balance. President Traoré's recent visit to the Russian Federation had been a resounding success. The trip, meticulously planned and executed, yielded significant results for Burkina Faso. Discussions centered on crucial areas of mutual cooperation, including economic development, infrastructure projects, and military assistance. Agreements were reached on several key initiatives, promising to bolster Burkina Faso's economic stability and enhance its national security capabilities. These agreements represented a significant step forward in the country's efforts to diversify its international partnerships and reduce its reliance on traditional Western powers. The successful conclusion of these negotiations marked a pivotal moment in Burkina Faso's pursuit of a more independent and self-reliant future. Upon his return, the atmosphere at the presidential palace was one of cautious optimism. The president was greeted warmly by his wife and family, a scene of domestic tranquility that starkly contrasted with the impending danger. The initial hours following his arrival were marked by a sense of normalcy, a quiet celebration of his diplomatic achievements. Official reports were being filed, celebratory phone calls exchanged, and the usual administrative duties were being attended to. Little did anyone know that this veneer of normalcy concealed a meticulously orchestrated plot, a carefully concealed threat that was about to shatter the peace and expose the dark underbelly of international politics. The seemingly innocuous return of the president from Russia was, in reality, the calm before a storm of immense proportions, a storm that would test the very foundations of Burkina Faso's sovereignty. The seeds of betrayal had already been sown, and they were about to bear a bitter fruit. The seemingly innocent gesture of a gift, presented with familial warmth, concealed a treacherous plot. President Traoré's sister-in-law, Aïssatou, offered him a bottle of expensive perfume, a seemingly thoughtful present upon his return. However, the president's keen instincts, honed by years in the political arena, sensed something amiss. A subtle unease, a nagging suspicion, prompted him to order immediate tests on the seemingly harmless gift. The results were chilling. The perfume was laced with a potent neurotoxin, capable of causing a slow and agonizing death. This revelation unveiled a layer of betrayal that cut deeper than mere political maneuvering. It struck at the heart of family and trust. The act of poisoning, committed by a close relative, highlighted the lengths to which those seeking to undermine President Traoré were prepared to go. The familial betrayal served as a potent symbol of the insidious nature of the conspiracy, demonstrating its reach into the most intimate circles of the president's life. The question of Aïssatou's motivations becomes central. Was she a willing participant, driven by personal ambition or ideological conviction? Or was she a pawn in a larger game, manipulated by forces beyond her comprehension? The implications for Burkina Faso's political landscape were profound. The assassination attempt, orchestrated through such a deeply personal connection, exposed a vulnerability within the nation's leadership, shaking the foundations of trust and highlighting the pervasive influence of external forces. The incident served as a grim reminder of the fragility of power and the ever-present threat posed by those who would exploit familial ties for political gain. The investigation into Aissata's involvement would become crucial in unraveling the broader conspiracy, revealing the extent of foreign influence and the identities of those who orchestrated this heinous act. The poisoned perfume was not merely a weapon. It was a symbol of the deep-seated conflict at the heart of Burkina Faso's struggle for independence. The discovery of the assassination plot was a gradual unveiling, a process of piecing together fragmented evidence and following tenuous leads. President Traoré's initial suspicion, triggered by an intuitive sense of unease, proved to be the crucial first step. The subsequent laboratory analysis of the perfume, conducted with utmost discretion, confirmed his fears, revealing the presence of a lethal toxin. This scientific confirmation provided the irrefutable evidence needed to launch a full-scale investigation. A dedicated team, composed of highly trained intelligence operatives and forensic specialists, was swiftly assembled. Their task was formidable: to unravel a complex conspiracy that extended beyond Burkina Faso's borders. The investigation began by focusing on Aissatou, the president's sister-in-law. Interrogations, conducted with sensitivity yet unwavering determination, revealed her involvement in the plot, albeit under duress. Her testimony, initially hesitant and fragmented, gradually painted a clearer picture of the individuals and organizations behind the assassination attempt. The early stages of the investigation unearthed a network of communication intercepts, financial transactions, and coded messages, all pointing toward a wider conspiracy involving foreign actors. The team meticulously tracked these connections, painstakingly reconstructing the chain of events that led to the poisoned perfume reaching the president. Each piece of evidence, however small, contributed to a growing understanding of the plot's intricate web, revealing the depth of planning and the resources employed by those seeking to destabilize Burkina Faso. The initial findings, though deeply disturbing, provided a crucial foundation for the subsequent stages of the investigation, setting the stage for a wider exposure of the international conspiracy. The unmasking of the plot was far from complete, but the early warnings and investigative efforts had set in motion a chain of events that would have far-reaching consequences. As the investigation progressed, a complex web of suspects began to emerge, extending far beyond the initial circle of Aissatou and her immediate contacts. The trail led to a network of individuals operating both within and outside Burkina Faso, their connections revealing a meticulously planned conspiracy. Evidence gathered pointed towards a sophisticated operation, involving logistical support, financial transfers, and coordinated communication channels. The depth of planning and the resources employed suggested a level of organization far beyond the capabilities of a lone actor or a small group. Crucially, the investigation uncovered strong evidence suggesting foreign involvement. Intercepted communications, financial transactions, and witness testimonies revealed links to individuals and organizations with ties to foreign powers. While specific details remain classified for national security reasons, it's clear that external forces played a significant role in orchestrating the assassination attempt. The nature of this foreign interference remains a subject of ongoing investigation and analysis, but early indications suggest a motivation rooted in undermining Burkina Faso's growing independence and its pursuit of alternative international partnerships. The identification of these foreign links has profound implications, highlighting the vulnerability of smaller nations in the face of powerful external forces seeking to maintain their influence. The investigation's findings underscore the need for increased vigilance and cooperation among African nations in the face of such threats. The case of President Traoré's assassination attempt serves as a stark warning of the challenges faced by nations seeking to chart their own course, free from the constraints of neocolonial influences. The expanding web of suspects and the undeniable evidence of foreign links transformed the investigation from a domestic incident into a matter of international significance. President Traoré's national address following the assassination attempt was a pivotal moment, a defining speech that resonated not only within Burkina Faso, but across the African continent. Delivered with unwavering resolve and a powerful sense of conviction, the address served as a rallying cry against foreign interference and a forceful assertion of Burkina Faso's right to self-determination. He began by acknowledging the gravity of the situation, the attempted assassination, and the deep betrayal within his own family circle. However, his tone was far from one of defeat or despair. Instead, he projected an image of strength and resilience, a determination to confront the challenges ahead. The president's key message was simple yet profound. Burkina Faso would not be intimidated, nor would its sovereignty be compromised. He directly addressed the issue of foreign interference, condemning the actions of those who sought to undermine the nation's independence. His words were a clear rebuke to those external forces seeking to control the country's destiny, a firm declaration of Burkina Faso's resolve to forge its own path. He called upon the citizens of Burkina Faso to unite in the face of adversity, emphasizing the importance of national unity and solidarity in the face of external threats. His message transcended mere political rhetoric. It was a powerful appeal to the collective spirit of the nation. Traoré's address was not merely a response to a specific threat. It was a broader statement on the ongoing struggle for African independence and sovereignty. His powerful words resonated deeply with other African nations, inspiring a wave of support and solidarity. The attempted assassination, far from weakening Burkina Faso, galvanized its people and strengthened their resolve to resist external pressures. The president's call for unity and sovereignty was not just a national call to arms. It was a beacon of hope for a continent striving to break free from the shackles of neocolonialism. The address served as a turning point, solidifying President Traoré's leadership and inspiring a renewed commitment to self-determination across Africa. The attempted assassination of President Traoré sparked a wave of outrage and solidarity across the African continent. Leaders from various nations issued strong condemnations, denouncing the attack as an affront to African sovereignty and a blatant attempt to destabilize a democratically elected government. Statements from heads of state and government officials expressed unwavering support for President Traoré and Burkina Faso, emphasizing the need for collective action against external forces seeking to undermine the continent's stability. The incident transcended national borders, becoming a unifying cause that galvanized African leaders and citizens alike. Beyond mere expressions of solidarity, there were concrete steps taken to demonstrate support. Several African nations offered their assistance in the ongoing investigation, pledging resources and expertise to help uncover the full extent of the conspiracy and bring those responsible to justice. Collaborative efforts were initiated to share intelligence, coordinate investigations, and strengthen regional security cooperation. This collaborative approach reflected a growing understanding of the interconnected nature of threats to African sovereignty and the importance of collective action in addressing them. The response to the assassination attempt highlighted a significant shift in Pan-African sentiment. The incident served as a stark reminder of the enduring challenges posed by neo-colonial influences and the persistent attempts by external forces to interfere in the internal affairs of African nations. This shared experience fostered a renewed sense of unity and a determination to resist external pressures, strengthening the resolve of African nations to pursue their own paths to development and self-determination. The outpouring of support for Burkina Faso was not simply a reaction to a single event. It represented a powerful assertion of African solidarity and a collective commitment to safeguarding the continent's independence and sovereignty. The continent's response demonstrated a shared understanding that the struggle for liberation and self-determination remains an ongoing process requiring continued vigilance and collaboration. The attempted assassination of President Traoré served as a potent catalyst, igniting a resurgence of anti-colonial sentiment across Africa. The incident highlighted the enduring legacy of colonialism and the persistent attempts by external forces to exert influence over African nations, often through covert and insidious means. This renewed focus on neocolonialism transcended political boundaries, resonating with a broad spectrum of African societies and sparking a renewed conversation about the continent's relationship with the global power structures. The events in Burkina Faso resonated deeply with the historical context of African independence struggles. The attempt on President Traoré's life evoked memories of past attempts to undermine African leaders and derail the progress towards self-determination. The incident served as a stark reminder that the fight for true independence is not merely a historical event, but an ongoing process requiring constant vigilance and resistance against various forms of external interference. The parallels between the present-day challenges and the historical struggles for liberation were undeniable, fueling a renewed determination to resist neo-colonial pressures. The resurgence of anti-colonial sentiment manifested in various ways, from public protests and demonstrations to increased scrutiny of foreign policies and investments. Civil society organizations, political movements, and intellectual circles engaged in critical analyses of neo-colonial practices, highlighting the subtle yet powerful ways in which external forces continue to shape the political and economic landscapes of African nations. The incident acted as a clarion call, galvanizing a renewed commitment to reclaiming economic sovereignty, diversifying international partnerships, and fostering greater regional cooperation among African nations. President Traoré's survival and steadfast leadership became a symbol of resistance against neocolonialism, inspiring a new generation of African leaders and activists to confront these enduring challenges. The attempted assassination, therefore, served not only as a wake-up call, but also as a powerful catalyst for a renewed commitment to African self-determination. The attempted assassination of President Traoré carries profound and long-lasting implications for Burkina Faso's sovereignty and stability. The immediate aftermath saw a surge in national unity and a renewed determination to safeguard the nation's independence. However, the long-term consequences will require careful navigation and strategic planning. Politically, the incident has strengthened President Traoré's position, enhancing his image as a resolute leader defending national interests against foreign interference. However, it has also highlighted the vulnerability of the nation to external pressures and the need for robust security measures. Economically, the incident could have both positive and negative repercussions. Increased international attention might attract foreign investment, particularly from countries seeking to diversify their partnerships and challenge existing power structures. However, the instability caused by the assassination attempt could also deter investors, impacting economic growth and development. The government will need to carefully balance the need to attract foreign investment with the imperative of safeguarding national sovereignty and avoiding undue economic dependence. Socially, the assassination attempt has had a galvanizing effect, fostering a stronger sense of national identity and unity. The incident has also raised awareness about the importance of civic engagement and participation in the political process. However, it also presents the risk of increased social polarization and potential unrest, especially if the government is perceived as failing to address the root causes of vulnerability to external threats. The government's response will be crucial in managing these social dynamics and ensuring that the incident does not lead to long-term divisions within society. Ultimately, Burkina Faso's future trajectory will depend on its ability to address the underlying issues that made it vulnerable to this attack, while simultaneously capitalizing on the renewed sense of national unity and determination to secure its sovereignty. The path ahead requires careful navigation of political, economic, and social challenges to ensure a stable and prosperous future for the nation. The attempted assassination of President Traoré extends far beyond the borders of Burkina Faso, carrying significant implications for the African continent as a whole. The incident serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of sovereignty in a globalized world where external forces seek to influence the internal affairs of African nations. This underscores the need for strengthened regional security cooperation and a more robust collective response to threats to African stability. The incident's impact on regional stability is multifaceted. It could potentially embolden other actors seeking to destabilize African governments, leading to increased tensions and conflicts. Conversely, the widespread condemnation and the outpouring of solidarity in response to the attack demonstrate the growing potential for collective action among African nations. This shared experience could strengthen regional alliances and foster greater cooperation in addressing shared security threats. The assassination attempt also has significant implications for Africa's international relations. It highlights the ongoing struggle for self-determination and the need for a more equitable and multipolar world order. African nations are increasingly seeking to diversify their international partnerships, reducing reliance on traditional Western powers and forging stronger ties with emerging economies. The incident reinforces the importance of this diversification and a need for a more balanced global order that respects the sovereignty and self-determination of African nations. The attempted assassination underscores the ongoing struggle for self-determination across the continent. It serves as a potent symbol of the challenges faced by African nations in asserting their independence and pursuing their own paths to development. It reinforces the need for continued efforts to strengthen democratic institutions, promote good governance, and foster economic development to ensure the long-term stability and prosperity of the continent. The implications of this event extend far beyond Burkina Faso's borders, shaping the future trajectory of regional stability and the ongoing struggle for African self-determination. The attempted assassination of President Traoré must be understood within the broader context of shifting global power dynamics and the complex interplay of international interests in the Sahel region. The involvement of unnamed foreign actors suggests a calculated attempt to destabilize Burkina Faso and potentially influence regional politics. Analyzing the geopolitical landscape surrounding this event necessitates examining the motivations and strategic interests of various global powers. One crucial element is the potential influence of former colonial powers, whose historical ties and lingering economic interests in the region could have motivated them to act against a leader perceived as challenging their influence. The desire to maintain control over resources, strategic partnerships, and geopolitical positioning in the Sahel could have fueled clandestine efforts to undermine President Traoré's government. Furthermore, the involvement of these actors might reflect anxieties concerning the shifting alliances in the region and the potential for a realignment of power dynamics. The emergence of new global players, such as Russia, adds another layer of complexity to the geopolitical context. President Traoré's recent visit to Russia and his government's growing engagement with non-Western powers could have been perceived as a threat by those seeking to maintain the existing order. The attempt on his life may represent an effort to disrupt this emerging partnership and prevent the diversification of Burkina Faso's international relations. The potential involvement of non-state actors further complicates the picture. These groups, often with diverse agendas and motivations, may have been manipulated or exploited by external forces to carry out the assassination attempt. Unraveling the full geopolitical context of this event requires a thorough investigation to identify the specific actors involved, their motivations, and the extent of their coordination. This necessitates a comprehensive examination of the intelligence gathered by Burkina Faso and its allies, and international cooperation to bring to light those responsible and deter future attempts to destabilize the region. The incident serves as a stark reminder of the delicate geopolitical balance in the Sahel and the profound impact of global power dynamics on the stability and sovereignty of African nations. The attempted assassination of President Traoré presents a range of potential short-term and long-term consequences, both for Burkina Faso and the wider African continent. In the short term, the incident has already led to increased national unity and a strengthened resolve to defend the nation's sovereignty. However, it has also created a climate of heightened insecurity and uncertainty, potentially impacting economic stability and social cohesion. The government's response to the attempted assassination will be crucial in determining the immediate outcome, with swift and decisive action to apprehend those responsible and strengthen security measures being vital to maintaining order. Failure to do so could lead to further instability and potential unrest. Looking ahead, the long-term consequences are more complex and uncertain. One potential scenario is a further strengthening of President Traoré's position, solidifying his leadership and bolstering support for his policies. This could lead to greater political stability and a renewed focus on national development. However, another possibility is a period of prolonged instability, with ongoing security threats and political maneuvering potentially undermining the government's ability to govern effectively. This could lead to further economic hardship and social division. For the wider African continent, the long-term impact could be significant. A successful outcome in Burkina Faso, with the perpetrators brought to justice and the country's stability secured, could inspire other nations to resist foreign interference and strengthen their own sovereignty. Conversely, a failure to address the root causes of instability could embolden those seeking to destabilize other African governments, leading to a wider regional crisis. The ultimate consequences will depend on the interplay of various factors, including the effectiveness of regional security cooperation, the resilience of Burkina Faso's institutions, and the response of the international community. The coming years will be critical in determining the long-term impact of this event. The international community's response to the assassination attempt on President Traoré has been varied and complex, reflecting the diverse geopolitical interests at play. Many nations have issued strong condemnations of the attack, emphasizing the importance of upholding the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Burkina Faso. These condemnations, while significant in expressing moral outrage and solidarity, have not always translated into concrete actions. The effectiveness of such statements is often limited without coordinated efforts to investigate the incident and hold those responsible accountable. The imposition of sanctions has been a more contentious issue. While some countries may advocate for targeted sanctions against individuals or entities implicated in the plot, others may be hesitant to take such steps, particularly if it risks further destabilizing the region or harming their own strategic interests. The effectiveness of sanctions depends heavily on the level of international cooperation and the willingness of all involved parties to enforce them. Weak enforcement can undermine the credibility of sanctions and diminish their deterrent effect. Diplomatic actions have also played a role in the international response. Several nations have pledged support for Burkina Faso's investigations and offered assistance in strengthening its security capabilities. However, the success of these diplomatic efforts will depend on the transparency and cooperation of all parties involved. A lack of transparency or a reluctance to fully cooperate can hinder the investigation's progress and limit the effectiveness of diplomatic solutions. Ultimately, the international community's response will be judged not only by the statements made, but also by the concrete actions taken to address the underlying causes of instability and prevent future attempts at undermining Burkina Faso's sovereignty. The long-term effectiveness of these responses remains to be seen. The investigation into the assassination attempt on President Traoré remains ongoing, and several key questions remain unanswered. While the immediate plot involving the poisoned perfume has been exposed, the full extent of the international conspiracy and the identities of all those involved remain shrouded in uncertainty. The investigation is likely facing significant challenges, including the need to gather evidence across multiple jurisdictions and potentially navigate complex political dynamics. Determining the precise level of involvement of foreign actors, whether state-sponsored or through non-state actors, is a crucial yet potentially difficult aspect of the investigation. Unraveling the complete chain of command and identifying the ultimate beneficiaries of the assassination attempt are also vital yet complex tasks. The investigation must determine whether the plot was solely aimed at eliminating President Traoré or if it was part of a broader strategy to destabilize the Burkinabe government or the entire region. The role and motivation of those who manipulated Aïssatou, the president's sister-in-law, requires further clarification. Understanding the extent of her knowledge and the methods used to coerce her participation will be essential in painting a complete picture of the plot's execution. Furthermore, the investigation must identify any potential accomplices within Burkina Faso and determine whether they acted independently or as part of a larger network. The investigation scope extends beyond the immediate plot to uncover the underlying geopolitical motivations and the broader network of individuals and organizations involved. The full picture of the conspiracy will only emerge as the investigation progresses, and significant challenges remain in unraveling the intricate web of actors and interests involved in this complex case. The ongoing nature of the investigation underscores the gravity of the situation and the need for continued vigilance and collaboration. The attempted assassination of President Traoré serves as a stark reminder of the ongoing struggle for African sovereignty and the persistent challenges posed by foreign interference. The incident exposed a complex web of international intrigue, highlighting the fragility of even seemingly stable governments in the face of determined external actors seeking to undermine national independence. While the immediate threat was neutralized, the long-term implications for Burkina Faso and the wider African continent remain significant. The event underscores the need for strengthened regional cooperation and a more equitable global order. African nations must continue to work together to bolster their collective security and resist external pressures that threaten their sovereignty. This requires not only robust security measures, but also a commitment to good governance, economic development, and the empowerment of citizens. The international community also has a vital role to play in supporting African nations' efforts to achieve genuine self-determination and resist neo-colonial influences. The resilience shown by President Traoré and the people of Burkina Faso in the face of this attack is a testament to their determination to chart their own course. The incident also sparked a renewed wave of Pan-African solidarity, highlighting the importance of collective action in defending the continent's hard-won independence. The fight for sovereignty is an ongoing process, requiring constant vigilance, strategic partnerships, and a commitment to building strong, self-reliant nations. The attempted assassination serves as a powerful call to action, urging both African nations and the international community to redouble their efforts in promoting peace, stability, and genuine self-determination across the continent. The future of Africa depends on its ability to navigate these complex challenges and build a future free from external interference.